Welcome to Shatter.
Help me reach 5,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and leave your thoughts in the comments. I came back from a week-long business trip in Dallas, exhausted but proud. I'd closed 2 major contracts and my boss hinted at a promotion. In the trunk of my Ford F-150, I had a gift bag from the airport, her favorite Bath & Body Works candle, and a new book by her favorite author. I thought she'd be happy. Instead, the moment I stepped through the door, I felt the chill. Melissa was sitting on the couch, hair perfectly styled, makeup flawless, a cashmere sweater I'd bought her last Christmas. Her laptop was open in front of her, and I could see bullet-pointed notes on the screen. This wasn't a welcome home evening. This was a performance. She didn't even let me set my suitcase down. "We need to talk," she said. Her tone wasn't casual, it was rehearsed. Cold. I stayed quiet, letting her go on. After 3 years together, I'd learned silence sometimes told me more than words. She took a deep breath, like a manager before firing an employee. "I've been thinking. About us. About whether you're truly the man I need. So here's what's going to happen. You have 1 week. 7 days to prove you can prioritize me over your career. 7 days to show me you're worth keeping." Her words didn't just sting, they froze me. I wasn't a man anymore. I was a project under evaluation. She sat there waiting, expecting me to beg, to plead, to ask how I could improve. That was her script. That was her control. Instead, I picked up my suitcase calmly. My voice steady, almost detached. "Good news," I said. "You won't need all 7 days." Her face went blank. That wasn't the answer she rehearsed. "What do you mean by that?" "I mean you'll know sooner than you think." I walked past her, suitcase rolling across the hardwood floor. No raised voice. No accusations. Just movement. I could hear her following me, her tone suddenly sharp. "Wait. You're supposed to ask me what you can do better. You're supposed to fight for us." I turned and looked her in the eye. Calm. Cold. "I don't audition for the role I've already been playing for 3 years. If that's not enough for you, no performance over 7 days is going to change it." She blinked, disoriented, her entire plan slipping through her hands. That night, I didn't shout. I didn't argue. I didn't explain. I just moved a few of my things into the guest room and went to bed. And for the first time in months, I felt strangely at peace. Because in her attempt to put me on trial, she hadn't realized something important. While she was evaluating me, I'd already started evaluating her. And my silence was louder than anything I could have said. The next morning, I woke before dawn, as always. My routine was simple: 6-mile run, black coffee, quick shower. Stability had always been my anchor. But that morning, as I laced up my Nike running shoes, I caught a glimpse of Melissa still asleep, her phone glowing faintly on the nightstand. Notifications stacked up like restless whispers. She'd been busy while I was gone. Too busy. I ran harder than usual, each stride echoing a thought I didn't want to fully admit. By the time I returned, sweat burning my eyes, I saw it clearly. Her laptop still open in the living room, a conversation thread half hidden on the screen. I didn't need to scroll far. Messages with another man, casual yet intimate. His name was Ryan. He wasn't new. The timestamps went back weeks. I stood there, calm, studying the words like evidence in a courtroom. She thought she'd built a stage to test me, but the curtain had already fallen on her performance. She woke to the smell of coffee brewing and found me sitting quietly at the counter. She looked nervous, almost defensive, waiting for me to ask questions. I didn't. I just sipped from my Starbucks mug and met her eyes without saying a word. That silence unnerved her more than any accusation. She tried to smile, tried to slip into casual chatter about errands, about maybe heading to Target later. But I saw the faint panic in her movements, the way her voice rose slightly, covering a tremor she couldn't control. She didn't know what I'd seen, what I knew. That uncertainty was its own punishment. I didn't bring up Ryan. I didn't confront her. Instead, I gathered some essentials and moved more of my belongings into the guest room. When she asked what I was doing, I answered simply, "Giving you the space you asked for." Her frustration flared, but I stayed still, controlled, untouchable. She wanted me desperate, chasing her approval. Instead, she got silence and distance. By lunchtime, she had called me 6 times. I let each call go to voicemail. Not out of spite, but because I was working, focused, already living as though she wasn't there. That evening, I returned home later than usual. She'd ordered takeout from Olive Garden, set the table with candles, trying to create a reconciliation scene. But I had already eaten. Her face froze when I told her. I sat at the counter, far from the setup she had staged. Calm, detached, watching her realize that the rules had shifted and she was no longer the one in control. She wanted me to fight for her. What she didn't understand was that I already had, and I'd stopped the moment she decided I wasn't enough. And now, it was her turn to fight for air in the silence I had left. The following day, my phone lit up before sunrise. 12 missed calls, 17 unread messages. Melissa had gone from cold and rehearsed to desperate and unhinged overnight. I read none of them. Instead, I dressed, packed my laptop, and checked into a Hampton Inn downtown. It wasn't an act of anger, it was clarity. If she wanted to measure my worth in days, she would have to experience life without me in it. At work, I buried myself in quarterly reports and emails. But between deadlines, I started piecing things together. Ryan wasn't just a casual flirtation. His name appeared on her Venmo transactions, and late-night Uber rides she claimed were girls' nights out. The pattern was there, hidden in plain sight. She thought she was clever. What she didn't know was that her own paper trail was exposing her more than any confession ever could. By lunch, my brother Daniel called. He had heard from Mom, who had heard from Melissa. According to her, I'd overreacted and abandoned her after a minor disagreement. Daniel asked what was really happening. I told him plainly. She gave me 7 days to prove I was worth keeping. I'm respecting her request. He went silent, then let out a sharp laugh. So you're evaluating her right back? I didn't answer. I didn't need to. That night, I met Daniel at Murphy's, the sports bar we'd gone to since college. Over burgers and beer, I laid out the situation. His grin was wry, but his eyes were serious. Man, you're flipping the script on her. She wanted control, and you took it without raising your voice. I nodded, because he was right. It wasn't revenge, it was restraint. When I returned to the hotel later, the front desk clerk handed me a note. Melissa had shown up in the lobby, insisting it was urgent. I told the clerk exactly what to say. Tell her I'm unavailable during her evaluation period. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. I could hear traffic in the background, her voice raw and cracked. Please, just talk to me. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I don't want this anymore. I kept my tone even. You have 5 more days. I won't interfere before then. She broke. I could hear it in her breath, the sharp edges of panic rising. I miss you. I hate this. I can't sleep. I let the silence linger before answering. That's valuable information for your decision-making process. You should factor it in. She gasped, like the words had sliced straight through her. And that's when it hit me. Melissa wasn't afraid of losing me. She was afraid of losing her control. And for the first time, I realized I wasn't the one on trial. She was. On the 4th day, her desperation turned into strategy. Melissa had always been resourceful when she wanted something, and now, stripped of control, she was trying new tactics. I was at the hotel finishing quarterly reports when the front desk rang my room. Mr. Carter, the clerk said carefully, there's a young woman here insisting she needs to see you. She says she's your girlfriend, and it's urgent. I didn't hesitate. Please let her know I'm unavailable during her evaluation period. Respectfully, I don't want to interfere with her decision-making. The pause on the other end told me the clerk wasn't used to hearing a man speak like that. Calm. Cold. Final. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed again. Her voice cracked through the receiver, heavy with exhaustion. This isn't what I wanted. I was just trying to get your attention. You've got it now, okay? Can we stop this? I kept my words measured. You set the rules. 7 days. I'm honoring your request. She went silent, then tried again, softer this time. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I miss you. I miss the way things were. I let the silence stretch, then answered. That's information you should include in your evaluation. Her breath caught, almost a sob, before she hung up. That evening, her sister, Jessica, called. Her tone was sharp, almost accusing. What the hell did you do to Melissa? She's been crying nonstop. She says you abandoned her over some stupid fight. I told Jessica the truth, about the ultimatum, about the 7 days, about how Melissa wanted me to prove my worth like I was interviewing for a job. Jessica was quiet for a long time, then finally said, She actually said that to you? Word for word? I confirmed it. A heavy sigh came through the line. She's been acting weird since Rachel got engaged, asking why some men propose quickly and others don't. I think she panicked. She's scared you'll never marry her. I didn't respond, because fear doesn't excuse manipulation. The next day, I went to the gym as usual. Melissa's car was parked outside, Jessica in the driver's seat. They waited for me to finish, hoping to corner me. I changed my routine, left through the back exit, and walked 2 blocks to where I'd parked on the street. A text came in seconds later. "We need to talk now. This is getting ridiculous." I typed slowly. "You have 3 more days to complete your evaluation. I won't interrupt the process." Her reply was immediate. "Stop saying that. I don't want to evaluate anything anymore." I let the screen go dark. Because the truth was clear, she wanted to end her test, but she had already failed mine. By the 5th morning, I felt something I hadn't in months. Peace. Real peace. I woke in the quiet of the hotel room, sunlight cutting across the desk where my laptop rested, my phone silenced for hours. Melissa had been flooding me with calls and texts, but I no longer reacted. Instead, I brewed the hotel coffee, sat down with the Wall Street Journal, and for once, my mind wasn't consumed by her moods. Her silence didn't last long. Around noon, my phone lit up again. This time, it was her mother. She spoke gently, almost cautiously. "What's this nonsense about you two breaking up? Melissa says you moved out. Why?" I kept my tone respectful. "We're not broken up. She told me she needs 7 days to decide if I'm worth staying with. I'm giving her exactly what she asked for." The other end of the line went quiet for a long moment. Then her mother sighed. "She actually said that to you?" When I repeated Melissa's exact words, I heard genuine disappointment in her voice. "We didn't raise her to treat people like they're some item off a shelf to keep or return." I thanked her for being honest. And for the first time, I realized Melissa's family wasn't going to defend her choices. Even they saw what she had done for what it really was. Later that day, I sat across from a relationship counselor I'd booked online, Dr. Elena Martinez. I wanted clarity, not excuses. Her words confirmed everything I already felt. "Ultimatums are about power and control," she said calmly. "Someone who truly values a relationship doesn't create artificial deadlines to test loyalty. That isn't communication, it's manipulation." Walking out of her office, I felt lighter. Because it wasn't just me. A professional had named it exactly for what it was. And when Melissa called that evening, her voice trembling with guilt, I no longer heard the woman I had once loved. I heard someone scrambling to pull back the control she had already lost. "I hate this," she whispered. "I hate that you're in a hotel. I hate that it feels like we're strangers. I just want us back the way we were." I let the silence linger before answering. "What we were is what brought us here." Her breath caught. She didn't reply. That night, for the first time, I didn't dream of her. I slept deeply, without interruption, without weight on my chest. And when I woke, I realized something sharp and undeniable. Melissa thought she was testing me, but she was only revealing herself. And the more she tried to regain control, the clearer it became. She wasn't evaluating me. She was exposing herself piece by piece. On the 6th day, I noticed something different inside myself. The tension that had once kept me tethered to her moods was gone. Instead of pacing or second-guessing, I felt calm, almost detached. I went about my morning as usual: gym, shower, coffee, then straight to the office. My phone buzzed nonstop, but the noise no longer mattered. At lunch, I got a call from Rachel, her best friend, the one whose engagement had triggered this whole storm. She sounded hesitant, almost guilty. "I think I might have caused all of this," she said. She explained how Melissa had been comparing our timeline to hers, obsessing over why some men propose quickly while others wait. She admitted that Melissa had been restless ever since her ring appeared on Instagram. I thanked her for her honesty, but I didn't let it sink into me. Because Rachel's engagement wasn't the cause, it was just the excuse. The truth was simpler. Melissa wanted control. She wanted proof. And when I didn't give it, she lost her grip. That evening, Melissa showed up at a quiet restaurant near the hotel. I was eating alone, finally enjoying food without tension. She must have tracked my location, because she walked in with eyes red from crying. She asked softly if she could sit. I nodded. Her words spilled quickly, like she had rehearsed them but was too broken to polish them. "I hate this. I hate that you're not home. I hate that I don't know where we stand." I just want things to go back to normal. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't offer comfort. I asked one question. What is normal, Melissa? Before what? She lowered her gaze. Before I ruined it with that ultimatum. There it was. The first crack in her armor. She finally called it what it was. An ultimatum. But apologies mean little when they come after exposure. I looked at her, steady and cold. What made you think it was acceptable in the first place? She stammered, searching for excuses. I was scared. Rachel's engagement. I thought maybe if I created urgency, it would push us forward. I nodded slowly. Then that's all this week was. A performance to make me dance faster. She started crying again, saying she wanted me, saying she didn't need the 7 days anymore. But I had already decided. This week wasn't hers anymore. It was mine. And while she was busy proving nothing, I was learning everything I needed to know. By the 7th day, her panic had shifted into silence. Not because she was calm, but because she was running out of ways to pull me back into her script. For the first time in years, my schedule belonged entirely to me. I woke naturally, no alarm, no tension about how she might greet me or what mood I'd need to navigate. The hotel room was quiet, sunlight spilling across clean sheets, and I realized something striking. I hadn't felt this free in years. Melissa, on the other hand, was unraveling. Her call slowed but grew heavier in tone, each voicemail a mix of anger and pleading. You're making a mistake. You're punishing me. Then, hours later, please, just come home. I'll do anything. I didn't respond. Because my silence wasn't punishment, it was proof. Proof of how different life felt without her constant tests. That afternoon, I sat with a financial advisor, sorting through joint accounts, shared investments, insurance. The advisor explained it would be simple to separate since we weren't married. No drama, no fighting, just a clean break. I left the office with a folder full of papers and a mind that felt clearer than it had in months. Meanwhile, Melissa was left with her own storm. I heard from Daniel later that night. Apparently, she'd been calling our mother again, crying, spinning her story to make herself the victim. But this time, even Mom wasn't buying it. She'd told Melissa flat out, "You don't put someone you love on trial." Hearing that secondhand, I felt a quiet confirmation. I wasn't crazy, I wasn't cold. I was simply done performing. By evening, Melissa tried one more move. She texted, "I don't need 7 days. I've decided. I choose you." I stared at the screen for a long moment before answering. Good. I've made my decision too. You'll hear it when the time is right. Her reply came instantly, panicked. What do you mean? Why won't you just say it now? I didn't reply. Because the truth was, this entire time she thought she was the one holding the verdict. She never realized she was the one on trial. And as the 7th day closed, I understood the irony. Melissa thought she'd given me an ultimatum, but she had only handed me freedom. For the first time in years, I wasn't trapped in her expectations. I was standing outside of them, watching her drown in the silence she had created. And tomorrow, when we finally spoke, she would hear the verdict she never saw coming. Sunday morning came, the end of her 7-day countdown. I had slept deeply, my body finally free of the weight I hadn't realized I was carrying. At 10 o'clock sharp, my phone rang. Melissa's voice was steady but nervous. My evaluation is complete. I choose us. I want to keep you. I listened without emotion. Then I said, I've completed my evaluation too. Let's meet and share our conclusions. We agreed on a coffee shop downtown, neutral ground, public space. I arrived early, chose a corner table where I could see everything clearly. When she walked in, she looked smaller, stripped of her usual confidence. Her hair was neat, her clothes carefully chosen, but her face betrayed her, dark circles under her eyes, lips trembling even before she spoke. She sat across from me and opened a notebook. Her voice rushed out in a practiced rhythm. I know I handled this wrong. The ultimatum was manipulative. I was scared. I wanted clarity about our future, and instead of talking, I forced it. I love you. I want to rebuild your trust. I'll do whatever it takes. I stayed silent until she finished, then set a manila folder on the table. Inside, I had documented the week. Her daily attempts to twist her own rules, her attempts to corner me at the gym, the messages to my family, the social media posts meant to project normalcy. I laid out the evidence piece by piece, her face tightening with each page. Every day, I said quietly, You tried to manipulate the process you asked for. You didn't want 7 days to think. You wanted 7 days to control me. She shook her head, eyes wet. That's not what I meant. Maybe not consciously, I interrupted, but your actions said everything. You don't see me as a partner. You see me as someone who needs to prove his worth to you. Her hands trembled as she closed the notebook. Tears fell, soft but relentless. She whispered, "People make mistakes. I can learn from this. Please, don't throw everything away." I leaned back, calm, almost detached. You're right. People can change. But I'm not interested in being someone's lesson. Her face broke at those words, and for the first time in a long time, I saw her stripped of the power she had clung to. Because this wasn't her courtroom anymore. It was mine. She broke down completely at that table, crying openly, not caring who in the cafe saw her. For years, she had held control with her polished confidence, her staged speeches, her subtle manipulations. Now, stripped of that, she was just a woman unraveling in public. People glanced over, whispering, but I stayed calm, steady, as if nothing unusual was happening. She whispered through her tears, "Please don't do this. We built 3 years together. I can't lose you." Her words didn't sting anymore. They sounded hollow, almost foreign. Because what I saw in that moment wasn't a plea for love. It was panic at losing her grip on me. I let the silence stretch until it cut deeper than any answer could. Then I said, "We didn't build those 3 years on respect. We built them on me carrying the weight. And when you decided to put me on trial, you proved it." Her sobs grew louder, her voice trembling. "You don't understand. I was scared. I didn't want to lose you." I kept my tone low, almost detached. "You lost me the moment you made me prove my worth. Real love doesn't need a countdown clock." For a moment, she looked around the cafe like she expected someone, anyone, to come to her defense. But no one did. The people watching weren't sympathetic. They saw the truth, the imbalance, the desperation. She tried again, her voice breaking. "I love you. I'll change. Please, I'll do whatever it takes." I looked at her steadily. "You don't love me. You love the version of me that bends, that dances for your approval. That man is gone." Her face twisted, pain and realization colliding. And then came the silence, heavier than anything before. She couldn't speak, couldn't argue, couldn't explain. She was finally empty. And in that emptiness, the memories she had buried started rushing back. I could see it in her eyes, the dinners I had planned that she canceled for friends, the weekends I had kept free while she chose others, the quiet ways I had held her life together while she took it for granted. Every flash of memory was another cut, and she was bleeding from the inside out. I didn't need to raise my voice or list her mistakes. She was doing it herself, in her own mind. And for the first time in our entire relationship, she was the one drowning in doubt while I sat in complete control. The roles had reversed, and she finally understood. The trial was never mine to endure. It was hers to fail. The final moment came not with shouting, not with rage, but with a silence so sharp it cut cleaner than any fight could. She sat there across from me in that cafe, her notebook closed, her makeup smudged, her hands trembling. For once, Melissa wasn't the polished, confident woman who rehearsed speeches and set ultimatums. She was just human, raw, desperate, broken. She whispered, her voice cracking, "Please, don't leave me like this. I finally see it. I finally understand. You were the only one who ever really cared." I leaned back in my chair, calm, unreadable. She expected me to reach for her hand, to comfort her, to tell her we could rebuild. Instead, I gave her what she had never expected, stillness. "I never stopped caring," I said quietly. "But caring for you cost me my self-respect. And that's something I'll never give up again." Her eyes widened, tears spilling faster. She shook her head, whispering again and again, "I'll change, I'll change, I'll change." I let her words hang in the air, then finally spoke. "Change isn't for me. It's for you. If you really mean it, you'll prove it in your own life. But I won't stand here waiting, auditioning, proving myself to you. That time is over." Her breath caught, a small sound escaping like a gasp. She realized this wasn't anger, it was worse. It was finality spoken without shouting, without chaos, without revenge. And then I gave her the only mercy I had left. "If there's ever a future for us, it will be on different terms. Not yours." Not mine. Equal. Respectful. Until then, I walk alone. She covered her face with her hands, sobbing openly, while I stood up. The cafe was quiet, eyes following me as I put on my jacket. I didn't slam the chair back. I didn't storm out. I walked slowly, calmly, like a man who had already made peace with himself. Behind me, Melissa cried harder, finally understanding that she had lost not because I left, but because I no longer needed her approval to stay. As I stepped outside into the crisp air, I realized the truth. She had given me 7 days to prove I was worth keeping. But it only took me 7 days to prove something far more important, that I was never hers to measure in the first place. And if she wanted me again, it would never be on her terms. It would be on mine. Silent, cold, untouchable. Support the channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing. I promise even more interesting stories.